Welcome back to Pokemon Episode Summaries. Today, I'll be doing Episode 16, Pokemon Shipwreck. The morning following the ship sinking, Officer Jenny shows up with a whole platoon of officers aboard a police ship, and sadly remarks how Ash and his friends were believed to perish, throwing a bouquet into the water in honor of them, in addition to saluting and playing the trumpet. Meanwhile, aboard the sunken ship, Ash finally comes to after being knocked out for a long period of time, much to Misty and Brock's relief. Ash instantly looks outside the ship and is surprised when he remembers what happened, seeing fish out in the window, and recalling the sunken ship, which was now capsized. Meanwhile, a still knocked out Jesse and James are dreaming of being on a warm beach, but the warmth that they're feeling is actually the fire on their head that has resulted from the ship sinking, which they become aware of when they wake up, with Meowth informing them. James panics, stressing on how they were going to get out, but when Jessie comes up with a solution, which is to send out her Ekans and have him use acid to create a hole in the floor so that they could escape through it. Meowth obviously sees the flaw in this as they're underwater, so the acid lets in a whole bunch of water, causing the area to flood and wash Team Rocket away, as they fail to block the hole. As for Ash and the gang, they approach a staircase as they debate how they want to try and escape, noting how the ship's layout would be upside down since the ship was capsized. Ash suggests heading downwards, but Brock remarks how if they were down and then got stuck and couldn't find a way out, then they would be dead as dead, which Ash stresses mentally over when he visualizes the situation. Misty decides that going down to the decks would be the best idea, but decides to only send Goldeen instead of risking their own lives. When she sends Goldeen down, it spots a dead end, so unfortunately, there's no way for them to get out from there. But then, Goldeen does spot Team Rocket, bringing them up. Despite Goldeen saving them from death, Team Rocket becomes conscious once again and immediately goes to attack, not being thankful whatsoever. Jesse and James send out Coughing and Ekans, while Ash and Brock send out Squirtle, Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Geodude. Before the battle can actually begin, though, the ship starts tilting, becoming unstable in its current position, so the gang instructs all of their Pokemon to run to the other side so they can equalize the weight on both sides. Having every Pokemon on one side, though, just causes the ship to tilt the other way, as there's now too much weight on the other side instead. This leads Misty to tell everyone to recall their Pokemon into their Pokeballs so that the weight can actually be equalized this time. Not having the Pokemon's extra weight does in fact equalize the weight of the ship. Due to Misty's plan being successful, she decides to take matters into her own hands and demands it necessary that them and Team Rocket team up. Despite being reluctant, both groups agree to truce, including Meowth and Pikachu, who accidentally shocks Meowth when they shake hands. Further solidifying that Misty should have been in charge from the beginning, she reveals that she actually knows the layout of the ship due to having built a model of it before, and reveals that they need to go up to the hull in what would normally be the bottom part of the ship. So, Brock sends out his Onix, and it's utilized to help the rest of the gang climb up. In order to get to the next room, they have to cross through a darkened hallway, which they manage to do with the help of Ash's Charmander lighting the way. But then, when they get to the end of the hallway and into the engine room, they can't cross into the hall from there either, as it's just fucking hell. There's fire, in addition to a large gap that needed to be crossed further up some more stairs. Jesse and James begin panicking, believing there to truly be no way out, as they comfort each other. Let's ship them together, guys. First Jesse and James ship moment. But Misty breaks it up, as she gets annoyed by them, and claims that there must be another way out. Ash tries thinking of one, but can't think of anything, so he gets Pikachu to shock him, which for some reason jumpstarts his brain. This is like the only time in the anime that's ever happened. But This motivates him to come up with the idea to use Bulbasaur's vines to cross the way. James, however, is too much of a wimp to cross, so Jesse has to slap the shit out of him to motivate him. By the time James gets over his wimpy fear, though, Ash and the gang have already crossed and had Bulbasaur retract the vines, much to Team Rocket's annoyance, who demand they send the vines back. Ash and the gang eventually agree, and Team Rocket safely make it to the other side. Ash sends out Charmander so he can use Flamethrower to break an opening through the ship's hull, which Charmander does successfully as Misty instructs everyone to get on water Pokemon and head up the waterfall as water starts pouring in. Ash uses his Squirtle, Misty uses her Goldeen, and Brock uses Misty's Starmie, but unfortunately for Team Rocket, they don't have any water Pokemon to use, so Ash and the gang leave them high and dry yet again as they escape the ship. Though I suppose they weren't left high and dry, more so low and wet, but you know what I mean. Jesse's frustrated, but James remembers that he has the Magikarp still, so they do have a way out. But he doesn't agree to let Magikarp out of the Pokeball unless Jesse and Meowth bow to him. The first little hint of James's ego there, but they oblige, and James sends out the Magikarp, but they realize that it can't swim, only knowing Splash, with James remarking how useless it was, as Team Rocket gets washed away and the ship sinks to the very bottom of the sea. Ash and the gang, having made it up to the surface of the water, design a raft and look around for Team Rocket, but can't find them, so they declare that they must either be lost or dead. So Brock suggests sending out Ash's Pidgeotto in order to try and locate Team Rocket's location. Pidgeotto comes out of its Pokeball and goes flying out, managing to find Team Rocket. But when he finds them, he believes that they are dead, as they're stone cold unconscious. So the gang holds a memorial for them and pushes their dead bodies out to sea, not wanting to have to smell dead bodies, obviously. But Jesse and James thankfully become conscious before they're lost to sea yet again. Pikachu then even manages to pull Meowth up to safety as well, as Team Rocket stay on the raft overnight with the gang, eventually getting over their anger about almost being killed. The next morning, the gang are starving and are daydreaming about what to eat, with the first thing coming to their mind being the Magikarp, especially James, I'm sure, since he knows how useless the Magikarp is. Meowth even tries to take a bite of the Magikarp because he's so hungry, but Misty comments that it's impossible for him to do so because of Magikarp's texture, so Meowth almost breaks his jaw. James is so annoyed by how useless Magikarp continues to be that he decides to kick it into the ocean. Fucking done with it. And honestly, I don't blame him. But Magikarp gets angry and evolves into Gyarados, being much more intimidating now, I'm sure. James isn't scared, though, as he knows that at the end of the day, he's the Gyarados' trainer, so it has to listen to him. But Gyarados fails to listen to him, much to James's stress. So Misty sends out her Starmie, Staryu, and Goldeen, with Brock assuming she was going to use them to battle the Gyarados, but Misty denies, saying she was only going to use them as a way to paddle the raft so that they could escape the Gyarados, who was looming in on them fast. The gang begins rowing the raft as fast as they can with the help of Misty's Pokemon, with Gyarados not stopping, until it does. Everyone celebrates, thinking that the Gyarados must be giving up for some reason. I don't know why the Gyarados would be getting tired all of a sudden, but Misty knows that it's not, being a Water-type specialist, and hearing of Gyarados' special move before, Dragon Rage. Gyarados then calls upon 4 other Gyarados, and they all team up to initiate this move, as it causes a huge-ass cyclone that no human has ever survived before to form. This cyclone hits everyone very hard, as they all get trapped inside.